Fuck me, James DeWitt muttered, the scent of sweet cinnamon and chocolate teasing the neurons inside his nostrils. The ground swirled beneath his feet, and for a split second, he felt the sensation of falling. He'd never experienced these sensations before, and only knew what they were by stories he'd heard from his elders as he reached the age of majority for his species and needed to have the talk. James had just caught the scent of his mate. A pair of fingers snapped under his nose. "Yo, James, you all right?" No, he wanted to say, but that would have been admitting to weakness. He was an alpha, and if he wanted to keep that position, he wasn't going to open his mouth and say that his stomach wanted to evacuate the club sandwich he'd just eaten. Instead, he just said, "I've scented my mate. Keep an eye out for anyone who looks..." He couldn't even finish. What did his mate look like? He had no clue. The bar was packed, and not because there was a party. Neither James nor his right-hand man would have been able to tolerate the smells of too much perfume from women looking to find someone to warm their beds for the night. No, it was the middle of the day, and lunch rush had commenced in the diner side of the bar. This group of consumers all consisted of men and women out on their coffee breaks, or just coming in for something cold to drink on a hot day. That's when he noticed, and his heart sank. James?" Mickey asked. "I see it." Almost every single patron in the bar was paired off as a couple. Fan-fucking-tastic. James and Mickey had come in for something cold to drink and quick to eat after a hot run through the woods of Washington, D.C. If James's mate had come in after James had, he would have caught the scent immediately. No, whoever it was that James was locked onto had already been in this bar, the scent mingling in with that of the many other human bodies in such a small space. Likely, it had been the ceiling fans to push the scent in James' direction. Now he had it, and he couldn't leave until he did something about it. "How are you going to find out who it is without freaking out the humans?" Mick asked from behind the neck of his bottle of root beer, shaped and colored to look just like a beer bottle, oddly enough. His voice was low to keep out of the ears of the 20-some-odd humans in the bar, but loud enough that it would carry to James. "I'm thinking on it," James said. He and Mickey both spun around on their bar stools, leaning casually back against the polished wooden bar, their food forgotten. Then an idea popped into his head. He signaled over the barmaid, a woman in what appeared to be her mid-40s, and, even though he was jittery as all hell on the inside, politely asked where the bathroom was. "Just down there," she said, pointing with a long red fingernail toward the back of the bar that narrowed down into a thin hallway that would barely allow James to walk down it without slouching or walking sideways. Sometimes being as large as he was really was a nuisance. The sign above read bathrooms clearly in bright red font, as though he could have missed it. The woman keeping order behind the bar didn't make any snide comments on James' reading skills, likely out of fear of his sheer size. Smart of her. He wasn't in the mood. Before she could lean back all the way, he inhaled deeply, taking in the woman's scent, confirming she was not the one James was looking for. What a shame. James didn't get the scent of another human off her. The only single person in this whole bar, and she wasn't the one he was looking for. "Thanks," he said, getting up from his stool, stretching and slowly making his way to the back. With so many people crammed in such a small space, it really was going to be a matter of stopping at the table that gave off the strongest scent. He passed by a table with a mother, father, and 2 teenaged boys. No, not the woman there. Thank God. The last thing he needed was to get in the way of any real family dynamic. A boyfriend was one thing. Marriage and kids? He didn't know if he had it in him to break up something like that. The next booth was the most promising. 4 women together with only one obvious boyfriend, who sat down with his arm around the waist of the cherry blonde woman next to him.